And then 1915, as you can see here from this slide, taken from your book, D.W. Griffith releases The Birth of a Nation. Most influential silent film ever made up to that point. Cost $125,000 to produce, which I think is like millions in today's money. And this is a whole narrative film. I think it's an hour or so long. It tells a story, it shows different characters and actors and scenes. It is also a virulently racist film because it shows sympathetic treatment of the Ku Klux Klan. So this is a controversial film, but nevertheless one that we all need to be aware of because of its importance to the history of film, movies, cinema, and also because it's important for us to be aware of, in my opinion, our history as a country, and only by looking at and confronting these unpleasant things will we learn to do better in the future. So I hope this doesn't offend anybody. I'm not going to show the film, I'm just going to show a picture from it. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some reactions to it. So here's a picture, a still shot from the film. You can see the hooded figures in the background, a little bit in the foreground on the right, depicting the Ku Klux Klan. Now, one of the responses was there were two black brothers, George and Noble Johnson. Noble, who I believe is on the left, was a successful actor in silent films and otherwise. And he is the one who put this company together, a black film production company, silent film production company, called the Lincoln Motion Picture Company. And he did this in 1916. It was in existence till 1921. It was an all-black company, the first to produce movies portraying African Americans as real people instead of as racist caricatures. Now, we're going to talk more about racial, gender, stereotyping in a bit. We'll explore it more and look more at the present time. But this is us kind of introducing this theme. This is their first picture, The Realization of a Negro's Ambition, which they put out in the first year, 1916. And because of he resigned and the company stopped because he was financing the company with his own money that he made primarily from acting, number one. And number two, there were not enough theaters across the country that would show a film for African American audiences at that point. I looked the film up to get a few more details about it. 20-minute film. Here's the topic. Black oil engineer rescues a white woman and earns the chance to succeed in the oil business. And here are some of the actors of this film, The Realization of a Negro's Ambition. So where are we? We are, I think, pretty much through. We're about to get into talkies, I think is where we are. So development, point 2. Okay, just to let you know where we are. Edison was a big one for patents. As we've seen, he got the patent on the projector from another guy. He bought him out. I'm sure the guy made next to nothing because Edison was quite a smart, I use that word in quotes, business person. He founded this motion picture patents company. He controlled the technology. And other companies tried to work around it, and Edison initiated lawsuits to stop them. And so one of the moves was to get as far away from New York and the New Jersey area where Edison lived as possible. So these companies moved to California. And here were some of the studios that got formed: Paramount, Fox, and Universal. Triangle Company not around, but the other three are. So Hollywood and the studios is the next phase. We're still in silent films, but the business is growing. New players are getting into it, and they're moving to a place where the climate's a little more regular for shooting films than they are on the East Coast. The famous Hollywood sign. Hollywood, I guess, was a kind of small town in California near Los Angeles, where there was a lot of open real estate. It was pretty cheap in those days. Now here's the home. It's a postcard or a picture of a home owned by a very famous silent actor comedian named Harold Lloyd. And here you see his home. This is the kind of silent film star, comedy star. Here are the kind of homes that were afforded by successful actors with studios. And these actors would be under contract, get weekly amounts of money, $1,000 a week, $5,000, $10,000 a week or more, which in the 20s, in the 30s, these people were making a fortune. And the star system is being born here, okay, where the studios get behind doing publicity about the stars, lots of photographs, the stars' romances and love life is the fodder for magazines and newspaper stories, etc. And the star system, shall we say, and celebrity culture here is taking root and growing. This is the Universal Studios back lot, and if you look down at these buildings and you look around here, some of these big buildings are sound stages where they would set up and shoot indoors and could create any kind of interior, sometimes even exterior that they wanted with the film crews. And there are also some exterior sets, sort of like Alec Baldwin's set, the film Rust, that he was notoriously involved with, that we talked about a while back, where there are buildings and streets and et cetera, et cetera. You can have an Old West town, or you can have a New England village, or, all kinds of sets were constructed and then used again and again and again and again for different films. All this at Universal Studios back lot. Here are some of the studio logos. I know they're not going to have any sound, but you can at least watch a famous one here. Metro Goldwyn Mayer. Here's RKO. Okay, which the first word in RKO is radio. And then Warner Brothers, I guess theirs didn't really move too much. Let's see if I can advance here. Whoop. Okay, here are silent film stars. I just Googled silent film star and look for images, and you see all kinds of silent film stars that are in the process of being built up and glamorized. Their lives are made having the perfect life. Here are a number of very famous male and female, most of them female, looks like, stars. Okay, many of whom you have undoubtedly never seen and you know nothing, almost nothing about. But some of these silent films are true masterpieces and worth watching today, believe it or not. I know that Turner Classic Movies, TCM, I tend to watch it a lot. It has screenings of silent films. They have a resident expert on silent films, and they'll screen a full-length silent film, I think, once a week. I'm not sure when. But there are some amazing silent films. Metropolis, I can think of as one. It's absolutely fabulous. And that's one of many. We are going to look at this one from Harold Lloyd. We looked at his house a minute ago. He narrates how they made this. So I'm going to stop here and we'll go to the YouTube video. It's from a film he came out in 1923 called Safety Last, and he does his own stunts.